since the year 2000.
Yeah.
This is Brian Hadad's list of the 25 best college football players in the state of Mississippi since the year 2000, and you had a methodology and a couple of caveats.
Caveats. First off, you had to have played multiple years in this decade, or in this century, I guess I should say. So that eliminated Deuce McAllister. 1 year, he played in 2000, but prior to that, he was a 90s player. Fred Smoot was a guy I considered, but 2 years at State, one in the 90s, one in the 2000s. Travis Hunter was a player that I considered. But only 1 year at Jackson State before he transferred to Colorado. And I'm sure there's a few more here and there, but that was my thought process. So we came up with my 25. I'm sure nobody will agree with them, but I also want to give a shout out here to the very Reverend Dr. Luke Johnson, who I knew the USM players to put on here. I knew the Southern Miss guys that I wanted to have on this list. He helped me tweak the rankings with them a little bit and put some guys in different places. So I really appreciate his help because I wanted to be fair to Southern Mississippi and make sure that their top stars got on this list as well. So we have 25. Should we just start from the bottom and then we'll be there?
You like to start from the bottom on these
kind
of lists. So
you got to start at the bottom.
You made the list, so you start wherever you want to start.
So number 25, I can already feel the angry text. If people are listening, I can already feel it. But Dexter McCluster.
Don't text and drive.
Yeah. If anybody would have you believe that, it's Dexter McCluster. McCluster had a good career at Ole Miss. He had a fantastic senior year at Ole Miss. Prior to that, kind of misused, if we're being honest. Should have been a primary back. I don't know at his
Houston Nutt did what?
Well, I don't know at his size if he could have taken the pounding of being the primary back for 4 years, but I would have tried with the talent that he had. Just a great, great football player. A lot of fun to watch. Unless you were playing against Ole Miss, then it was not fun at all. So I've got McCluster 25th on my list. At 24, the only non-Big Three player to make the list, and maybe controversial, I went with Shedeur Sanders. Sanders had 2 fantastic seasons at Jackson State while he was there. He would have easily rewritten their record book had he stayed the full complement of 4 years at Jackson State. I thought about going with the quarterback from Jackson State, Robert Kent here, who's their all-time leading passer, who's I think the 3rd all-time leading passer in Mississippi history, or maybe the 4th. I didn't look at Willie Totten's numbers. But Sanders was really, really good. And I think, he's kind of proven that it wasn't just his last name getting him recruited and getting him notoriety.
He had a really good season at Colorado last season where he fell in the draft because of
other issues.
Other issues.
His numbers are fantastic. I mean, he threw for over almost 7,000 yards and 70 touchdowns in 2 seasons at Jackson State. So we're going to go Shedeur.
And him over Hunter because, as you said before, Hunter only played his
only
one
season.
year.
Yeah, no question.
It's a hell of a season, though. But.
Number 23. Oh, yeah. Number 23 from Mississippi State is running back Jarius Norwood. I've always said the same thing about Norwood. He was in college at the same time Reggie Bush was. And I've always said this, and I really believe it. If you switched them and you let Norwood go to USC and Bush play on those terrible Mississippi State teams, it would have been Norwood winning Heisman trophies. And Bush would have been a guy, well, he was really good at State, but, whatever happened to him. Just an elite running back. I wish he had played on better teams. He'd be higher on this list if he had. But just an outstanding running back and had a
true 4.40 at the combine too.
Yeah, I mean, he was an incredible player and played on terrible teams that had no passing attack. He was the only weapon State had his last 2 years at State, and he was a 1,000-yard rusher in both of them. So that's what I've got at number 23. Number 22. I think this is where you're going to raise your hand.
I want to trade.
Number 22 is Senquez Golson, the Ole Miss defensive back. Now, I want to hear what your reasoning is, and you're going to be impressed at how quickly I shut you down.
Well, who do you think I'm going to replace him with?
I think you're going to say Mike Hilton.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, Mike Hilton's a fantastic football player. Here is the list of consensus first-team All-Americans on this top 25. You ready? Senquez Golson. That's it.
Yeah.
There is not another guy. Of all the people I haven't named, there's not another guy who was a consensus first-team All-American.
Which is nuts, but
gets you on the list.
Fact.
It gets you on the list.
Fair enough.
You're 20. He's 22.
And he also had the iconic play, the interception.
Yes. That doesn't hurt. Yeah, for sure. So there you go. That's number 22. Number 21 from the Golden Eagles, linebacker Rod Davis, a tackling machine in Hattiesburg. Just an outstanding football player, a guy who was a dominant force for the Golden Eagles, won the 2002 Connerly Trophy. He broke up Eli Manning. Manning would have won 3 straight, but Rod Davis got him there in 2002. Just an incredible linebacker. We talk about USM and when they're so well known for their defense, but unbelievable player. Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, 13th All-American. His junior year, he had 122 tackles and 10.5 sacks. I mean, just a machine. So
also won an Arena Bowl. So
yeah. So, not that matters in this. Again, that's another thing. I don't know if I mentioned
not
it.
A factor.
We are not considering any NFL whatsoever. It is all about what you did in college. So number 22 is Rod Davis from Southern Mississippi. Number 20. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's number 21. I'm sorry. Number 21. Number 20. I wish more people were listening on this one because I know. It's Quinshawn Judkins.
But you're right. I mean,
Judkins has to be on this list.
Only a very small amount of the all-time greats of the position did.
In 2 years, he's the second leading rusher in Ole Miss history. In 2 seasons, he did that. He has the single-season record for yards in a season and would have easily eclipsed Deuce McAllister's career rushing record had he remained at Ole Miss for his junior year. So Judkins, love him or hate him, Ole Miss fans, you have to respect the what he was able to contribute to Ole Miss football in his time there,
without a doubt.
And there you go.
So number 20, you could even have him higher, but only 2 years maybe. And did the exit factor at all?
No, the exit didn't factor in. If he had played a third year, he might be in the top 5. If he had done done what he did his first 2 years at Ole Miss, and he would have been in the top 5 probably. I mean, just an unbelievable player.
So there's 25 to 20.
Yeah, we'll do one more because we got a minute here. And 19 is where I put Montez Sweat. Unbelievable pass rusher for Mississippi State, first round pick, all SEC, led the SEC in sacks twice. Just. I don't
leading the league in sacks twice. Could that? Did you consider putting him up higher after that?
I did, but again, 2 years, only 2 years at Mississippi State. I thought I got him right. I got him right. So I'm looking in the Twitter mentions. Everybody's talking about Chris Jones. Not a great college career. Great NFL career. If I was ranking this on NFL, I mean, he'd be in the top 5 for sure. But his college career, he was never even first team All SEC. He can't make this top 25. No way. Not over some of the guys that are on this list. So yeah, we're gonna go at 19 with Montez Sweat. So we'll
Brian Hadad, we left off at Montez Sweat at number 19.
Yeah. So let's go to number 18. We'll go back to Oxford. Laquan Treadwell, a guy who's kind of a what if, and he and DK Metcalf are kind of comparable, right? Because injuries dinged up their career. The difference is that with Treadwell, you got 3 great years from him. You know, he, before he got hurt, his sophomore year was a great receiver, but was still great in 2015 as well. Whereas with DK, whose name has popped up in some of the Twitter mentions we've got, really only 1 great year, right? Was injured in the first game, I believe, against Florida State his freshman year, and then in his junior year, he was injured early in the season. And then never played again after that, after the I guess that would have been the 2018 season. 2017, he was a monster, but that's just 1 great year. Sort of the same thing with me with Chad Kelly not being on this list. Kelly had a monster year his first year at Ole Miss, but then he was injured, and he missed a good chunk of the season. Couldn't put him on the list. Laquan Treadwell, I believe Ole Miss's all-time leading receiver in terms of career catches. He was like the first of that. Dante Moncrief is the first. Then it was Treadwell, and Treadwell was the guy. I think that when A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf are going to Ole Miss, they're doing that because of Laquan Treadwell. So Treadwell gets on my list. He's number 8.
And he also was really clutch.
Yeah.
Like had big moments in big games too.
Exactly. So we'll put him on the list at number 18. For Southern Miss here on at number 17 is Nick Mullins. Mullins is of the big three schools. Mullins is the second leading passer in terms of yardage. He's USM's all-time leading passing leader. Will Rogers, obviously, number one. Will Rogers not on the list. I'll just go ahead and spoiler y'all. He did not make the list. Won a ton of games in his time at USM. Obviously set a bunch of records for the Golden Eagles. Has been now a long pro, but I mean, he's just been a great player. I mean, his 2015 season threw for almost 4,500 yards, 38 touchdowns, and only 12 picks. Won 9 games that year as well. Just a really good football player.
And still hanging around in the NFL.
Yeah.
Which is not part of the list, but still, the fact that he's still hanging around in the NFL, I think, is justification for the inclusion in an alternate way.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, his numbers speak for themselves, and yeah. 2015, by the way, is 2015 the greatest year in Mississippi quarterback history? Dak, Chad Kelly, and Nick Mullins. I'll take those three against almost anybody's quarterbacks.
That would take a metric ton of research, but
yeah, I'll put it up
that's
there.
Probably already.
I'll put it up there with anybody. So yeah, that's a hell of a year. So Mullins comes in at 17 for me. Number 16, one of everybody's favorites at Mississippi State, Anthony Dixon, all-time leading rusher for the Bulldogs. Just a great football player. Another guy that I wish had played on some better teams. Yeah, the 07 went to a bowl game, but 08, 09, he was kind of a one-man show and didn't get to play in the postseason games that his talent deserved. Finished off his career with that crazy Egg Bowl win over the Rebels in Starkville Mullins' first year, where he and Chris Relf really dominated that game on the ground. But we'll put Dixon on the list at 16. Another dominant USM defender at 15 in Michael Boley. I don't know if enough people recognize how good that guy was. He was really, really good at Southern Mississippi. In his career, 423 tackles, 28.5 sacks, 3-time All-Conference USA selection first team, and he won the 2004 Connerly. So it's kind of funny. You had 01, Eli Manning, 02, Rod Davis, 03, Eli Manning, 04, Michael Boley. So it went Eli, USM linebacker, Eli, USM linebacker. That was the Connerly those 4 years. But Boley was really, really good football player, and really underrated, I think. So I got him on the list at number 15, I'm sorry. At 14, back to Oxford, Matt Corral. And I may have him underrated, if we're being completely honest.
You might.
You might. I might have him there. There's 2 more Ole Miss quarterbacks on this list. And honestly, the first one is the obvious one, but the other 2, I could switch them, and I don't know that there'd be a whole ton of debate. Corral, if we're just going on toughness, if we were just ranking toughness, he might be a few spots higher as well. As tough as a $2 steak, and just a perfect fit for what Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby wanted to do offensively.
Yeah,
he is the absolute prototype quarterback for what that offense is. Big arm, tough, can run. What more can you say about Matt Corral? Great player.
Yeah, and then you have moments kind of define players. That game at Tennessee where his 3 leading receivers were out and multiple offensive linemen, and he just put the team on his back and ran for 1 billion yards that night. And yeah, that was a special one.
Another quarterback at number 13, and that's Austin Davis from Southern Mississippi. Not the all-time leading passer, but a much better runner than was Nick Mullins. He rushed for 25 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards. Still, and also more consistent from year in and year out. Threw for almost 11,000 yards, 83 touchdowns to only 27 picks. And, of course, won the Connerly Trophy in 2011. And, of course, a conference championship. That's something that Mullins doesn't have. So this is one where Luke Johnson paid dividends. Because I had Mullins ahead of Davis originally. He's like, nah, you got to switch that. You have to switch that. So I did. So Austin Davis.
Southern Miss with a run of historically really good quarterback play.
The 2000s, they had a lot of good quarterbacks. I mean, and you're not even talking about guys like, I'm leaving Jeff Kelly off of here. They had another guy. Who am I forgetting? I forget. It's between Kelly and Davis, though. But, yeah, they had good quarterbacks. I mean, there's a reason they went to all those bowl games and won all those games. back in the day. They had good quarterback play.
There's a chance they got one of those lining up for them this year as well.
Very possible. Number 12, one of the top offensive linemen in Mississippi State history is Charles Cross. This is a guy who, when he came out of high school, you knew he would be at Mississippi State for 3 years and then would be a first-round pick. And that's exactly what he was, a human shield. Will Rogers didn't worry about his backside the 2 years he had Charles Cross blocking for him out there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he come in? Wasn't he really skinny as a prospect?
He was lean. We'll say I won't say skinny, but he was maybe like 275 pounds. But then he got to a more manageable weight.
Probably what you want coming out of high school as opposed to 350.
I would much rather try to get the muscle on you than try to lose the fat off of you. If we can do that, so. And, of course, the top 10 NFL draft pick, All-American, all SEC player, one of the most consistent offensive linemen I've ever watched. I mean, I just didn't worry about him giving up a sack. I just didn't. And Will Rogers, I think, probably very, very appreciative of him. Number 11 is where I put A.J. Brown. I saw A.J. Brown play in high school. And for my opinions, I never saw Dupree in high school. I didn't see a lot of those guys. Maybe the best high school football player I ever saw. Just a dominant force.
The most obvious, this guy is going to be a superstar in college and play in the NFL.
Like,
high school
walking out on the
prospect.
field, you're like, if I said pick the guy who's going to play in the NFL, and then he's playing on a team with Willie Gay. Don't forget.
Yeah.
But I still would have been like that guy. It would have been A.J. Brown. And then at Ole Miss, I mean, just incredible. Just year in, year out, as good a 2-year run as anybody, his sophomore and junior year, as good a 2-year run as anybody has ever had in the SEC. Caught everything thrown at him, tough, but can make the spectacular play as well. Great player. Of all the players that Ole Miss has gotten through the years, of the ones I wish had gone to Mississippi State, A.J. Brown, because he's from Starkville too.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown's very close to the top of the list there. So
25 of the last 25 years, a really, truly great list. I'm having fun on Twitter.
Yeah.
Just pointing all the blame at Hadad. But really, you did all the work on this. And listening to you talk about players that I didn't get to watch because I didn't live in Mississippi is really cool to me. I'm loving I say this conversation. It's not a conversation. It's a one-sided deal. And I'm really enjoying myself this afternoon. So top 10, here we go.
The Chris Jones people, I'm like, guys, did y'all watch him play in college? I think every State fan when he left was like, God, he underachieved.
Yeah, they're using NFL results.
He's a great pro. Again, if this was a pro list, he'd probably be number one. It would be him and then Eli. Yeah, it's not even close. But number 10, back to Hattiesburg for Jamie Collins. Not a lot of players in college football start off as a DB and finish up as a defensive end / linebacker, but he was one of them. First team all conference, just a great player. And his NFL career also didn't play into this decision, but it shows you what kind of player he was. 21 career sacks, 3 interceptions, and scored 3 touchdowns too. So I get you get some defensive points. That's great. So Jamie Collins, number 10. Back-to-back Bulldogs here at 9 and 8. Back-to-back defensive tackles. The 2 of the best in the pros over the last decade, and 2 greats from Starkville. Fletcher Cox at 9 and Jeff Simmons at 8. I could have flipped a coin. To me, Simmons was a more dominant player. Simmons was a guy who you had to double and sometimes triple team. A lot of the reason Montez Sweat had so many sacks is because he got one-on-one blocking, because Simmons, every offensive coordinator, their game plan started with stop Jeff Simmons. Good luck. And I've said it many times, if he didn't have the off-the-field thing that happened to him as a high school kid, which that's a guy who took his second chance and never a sniff of impropriety after that. If he hadn't had that on his record, I think he might have been like a top 5 pick. Because
that was definitely a thing that impacted.
It absolutely, and I understand why. I understand why. But that's a guy, he never had a traffic ticket here in Starkville. So I have him at 8. Fletcher Cox at 9, though, the first star of the Dan Mullen era, and the first Mississippi State defensive lineman of that great run that State's been on for over a decade with him, with Chris Jones, Danico Autry, Preston Smith, Montez Sweat, and Jeff Simmons. Cox was the first one. So he's at number 9. Number 7 is our last Golden Eagle on this list, Damian Fletcher. if I'm pretty sure I'm right. He's the all-time leading rusher in the state of Mississippi's history, with more yards than anybody. He's certainly more yards than State or Ole Miss. I looked up Walter Payton. He had more yards than Walter Payton did in college. So if there's somebody else out there that I didn't know, one of the old Jackson State running backs, I don't know. But among the big three, he's the all-time leading rusher, and it's not close. It's not close. He's got 5,000 career rushing yards.
Jeez.
So he had to be on this list, and at 7 felt right for where we're going to put him. So just a great football player too. A lot of fun.
This next one might be a teeny bit controversial, to some anyway.
I'm a fan of the guy, Jackson Dart at number 6. There's something to be said for. First off, he holds a ton of records at Ole Miss. He won
a ton of them.
He won a bunch of games.
29 in 3 years.
He single-handedly won a couple of those games. I mean, his junior year, Dart is why you win a lot of those games.
I mean, LSU 2023 comes to mind.
Exactly. That's the first one I was thinking of, right? And I'm also, what is it? He and Corral, a couple of West Coast pretty boys, tougher than shoe leather.
I mean, real tough. I mean, he was integral in building the roster. I know they came up a game short, but like he wasn't just a quarterback. He was a roster builder.
Yeah.
And then became a first-round pick, which I know that's not the thing here, but still, I mean, accomplished at every possible level.
Yeah. So I'm going to put him on there. I got him at 6. At 5, this one might be controversial as well, because I've come to this conclusion through the years that State fans never as high on this guy as they should have been, but it's Jonathan Banks. We talked about Golson being on here for being a first-team consensus All-American. Banks is not a consensus All-American. He wasn't a first-teamer on numerous All-American teams, though, and he won the Thorpe Award. He's the only person on this list, I think, other than the guy coming up who won some quarterback awards. I mean, there's no Bednarik, there's no Outland, there's no Butkus, but this guy won the Thorpe. He was the best defensive back in college football his senior year. A 4-year starter for Mississippi State. A great football player. Great college football player. His pro career didn't go the way he wanted it to, but a great, great college football player. Deserves to be on this list at that number. 4 guys to go. The best offensive lineman in the state of Mississippi for the past 25 years was Laramie Tunsil, and he's at number 4. Just a shield. Just a brick wall of a human being.
And immediately.
Yeah. Almost the fact that it was his junior year with the suspension, he missed some games. That I thought about dinging him for that, but I mean, when he did play, he played for every game that he was eligible to play in. He started.
Yeah,
and Bo Wallace and Chad Kelly didn't concern themselves with whoever was on their blind side when Laramie Tunsil was on the field. Never did. So Tunsil at 4. Number 3 is Dak Prescott. The greatest offensive player in Mississippi State history, maybe the greatest player in Mississippi State history. 2-time first-team All-SEC. He held every Mississippi State passing record until State hired an air raid football coach. Now Will Rogers has them all. And of course, has a great runner too. But maybe the most impactful player in Mississippi State history, and certainly the most beloved. There will never, in my opinion, be a football player as beloved as Dak Prescott was for Mississippi State because of the emotional situation of his mother passing away while he was playing here. This community and this university embraced him as a son, and it's impossible. I know the Mannings are beloved at Ole Miss. Dak Prescott is that for Mississippi State. I don't think the speed limit will ever be 15, but maybe
it should be.
You got to go slow enough around campus.
That's a good number.
It is. It's better than 18. Let's just be honest.
But it's fitting.
Yeah, it is. All right, speaking of Archie, speaking of the Mannings, number 2 is Eli Manning. What can you say? I mean, dominant career at Ole Miss, won a lot of games, threw for a lot of yards, and again, the name recognition coming out of his brother not going to Ole Miss. I remember that recruitment, and there, everybody thought he was going to go to Ole Miss, but everybody was like, well, we all thought Peyton was going to go to Ole Miss too. And, his other finalists were Texas and, believe it or not, Virginia. And our Eli Manning at Virginia would have been something to see, I guess. But you can't argue with it, right? The guy was good enough to be the number one pick in the draft, Heisman Trophy finalist. I believe he's the only guy on this list that made the trip to New York. Great football player. You can't go wrong. Plus, he got bonus points for taking shots at Richard Cross when we had him on the show.
That's right, he did.
So he gets on there. My number one, I had to go with Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis, we talked about earlier about A.J. Brown, like guys I wish had gone to state. Patrick Willis is number one on the list. He's the most Mississippi State Ole Miss player of all time. I've said it a million times, right? A 2-star kid that nobody else wanted, and Ole Miss picks him up, and he just happens to be maybe the greatest linebacker of all time. Certainly a Hall of Famer in the NFL and a Hall of Famer in college. Just a dominant force. Believe it or not, I was at the Ole Miss LSU game where he picked up Justin Vincent and planted him into the earth.
One of the hits when you have like a college football highlight package, that always
it's always in the list. It's always in there. He was an incredible football player, one of the guys that you truly feared, and he played on terrible teams,
awful teams, and didn't play as early as he should.
No, but I mean that's a guy. Patrick Willis on last year's Ole Miss defense would have been the most unfair thing in the history of the world. They might not have given up a yard, but
would have broken every linebacker record.
Yeah, just a machine. Unbelievable football player. He gets to be number one on my list. So that's my number one is Patrick Willis.